Good morning. I'm Lisa Stalteri, and it's my privilege to serve as your worship lead this morning. Let me begin by saying that my son Dante has agreed to my sharing the information about him in this reflection. When very young, our son Dante was diagnosed with autism. We were very fortunate that my mother, a retired special education teacher, recognized some concerning signs and insisted on an evaluation. These signs included loss of words shortly after he learned them, toe walking, hand flapping, crashing, banging, bolting, and the inability to sleep more than 2 hours at a time. At about 18 months, Dante started receiving intervention services from the Golden Gate Regional Center. We were new parents. Before the evaluation, we were exhausted, bewildered, and unclear how we were all going to survive. After the evaluation, I was frightened and devastated by the realization that life was uncertain, and controlling its outcome had been an illusion. I don't know what was more devastating, knowing that my well-laid plans for Dante's life were never to be realized, or that the experts could provide me with no insight as to Dante's ultimate condition, other than to tell me that it would be determined by his missed milestones. For someone with a high need of certainty and an exaggerated sense of urgency, this was torture for me. With regard to Dante, let's cut to the chase. About a month ago, he graduated with an audio engineering degree from Tennessee State University outside of Nashville. He's at the tail end of the interview process, and he'll be living and working in Nashville as an audio engineer. I find his career choice ironic, given that one of his autistic traits as a child was auditory hypersensitivity that led to sensory overload and meltdown. Now let's cut back to me in San Mateo circa 2002. After the evaluation, initially I grieved for everything I felt I'd lost. Truthfully, I wasn't clear of what I'd lost, since I had to wait for missed milestones to find that out. I think I mostly grieved, though, for my lost illusion of certainty and feeling that I had control. But autism doesn't leave much time for grief. The highest likelihood for the best outcome is early intervention. There are many interventions, and it's a bit of a crapshoot whether a particular kid will respond to one intervention as opposed to another. So it feels like a race against time to figure out what's going to work for your kid. We saw parents deal with their child's autism diagnosis in many different ways. Denial, relying on others to take action when often they had little incentive to do so, not having the ability to access interventions at all, trying to become experts, or trying to employ every intervention at once. My husband PJ and I didn't think much about how to react to Dante's autism diagnosis. We grew up hearing the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We just jumped into the courage to change the things I can part. Since in the early 2000s, it simply wasn't known what interventions worked with autism, the wisdom to know the difference part didn't seem applicable. We researched, we went to appointments, we participated in therapies, we learned new parenting approaches, addressed different financial demands, and adjusted life plans. I felt like I was constantly in the midst of a multidimensional chess game. But somehow life continues, and we eventually had 2 more children to fit into this puzzle. The dictionary defines resilience as the capacity capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. But there's not much joy in withstanding or recovering. And I wasn't feeling much joy in being resilient or in living out the Serenity Prayer. I decided that acceptance of what I cannot change and being resilient was not enough. I owed it to myself and to those who I loved to find joy in that which I could not change. July's Soul Matters theme is embracing possibility. Embracing is the acceptance of something willingly and enthusiastically. I believe that this concept of embracing possibility is the UU addition to the Serenity Prayer. To find joy in accepting what we cannot change and in changing what we can. Finding joy in the midst of challenging change, however, can be difficult. For severe anxiety or depression, it may involve seeking professional help. For me, I found that consciously making the decision to be more joyful and focusing on just a few steps kept me committed to finding joy. These are some of the things that helped me. Making a list of things that have brought me joy and keeping that list out to remind me. Putting a photo of something that brought me peace and joy in the past next to the place where I experienced the most stress. Next to my computer, I put a photo that I took of sun shining through the branches of a variegated dogwood tree. And in my car, I put a photo of my youngest child's feet as a toddler with her toenails painted red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. I started each day thinking of something I was grateful for. Then I committed to doing one conscious act of kindness for that day. Then I committed to do something special for myself that day that I wouldn't usually do. It could be as simple as sitting and listening to music uninterrupted for 15 minutes. I ended each evening taking stock of my one act of kindness and the special thing I did for myself that day. Lastly, I made a plan for when I was feeling most anxious or irritated. For me, it was taking a walk outside if possible, and if that wasn't, some deep breaths and reciting something calming. I discovered that when I had joy, it was easier for me to accept willingly what I could not change. I don't think that I ever got to the level of accepting enthusiastically what I could not change. But I can't say that I got to accepting it with more humor. I felt more capable of actually embracing possibility after finding joy. May we all find joy in accepting what we cannot change. May we all embrace possibility. Amen.